Joleon Foden to equalise for Chelsea. Given is the Manchester City hero.
Roberto Mancini takes on the challenge.
Their first league double over Chelsea since 1957.
The rise of Manchester City. Tevez on towards Nasri. The title race is back on. They do it! City win the title! I don't believe what I'm seeing! Hooray! Beautiful!
We'll do our best here, and then we'll see how many trophies we can win.
This time is a new kind of feeling because it's the first time I'm arriving to a club where I'm ready to win.
And get the bars in here!
I'm a bit lost for words really. I didn't expect to come on and score like that.
I think 55,000 fans, it makes a difference, and that South Stand can become pretty famous.
Jose Mourinho has now been sacked.
Lara scores to complete his hat-trick.
El Senor, the man. Welcome to Manchester.
Still top of the pile, Chelsea.
Pep Guardiola now has the catching up to do.
Let's go, Blue!
Fantastic.
Faces, optimism and hope.
Sensational six.
Well, if that's not has got you excited for the fixture ahead against Chelsea, I don't know what will. Wishing you all a very happy new year and welcome along to We're Not Really Here. My name is Cel Spellman and got to say, feeling very excited for what lies ahead in 2021. Hopefully, we can get off to a good start with our away trip at Stamford Bridge in the offering in just under 55 minutes time, where both sides know a win, of course, will be boosting those title credentials. Here to get into the game today, we have got a defensive duo lineup that I would love to see in front of me if I was a keeper, in the form of Joleon, Lescott and Nedum Onuhoa for his first time. Absolute pleasure to have you on, gentlemen. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Feeling refreshed?
No, not really. Not really, but it's good to be here, yeah? 100%.
There, Nedum saying how we all feel, I think. It really is great to have you on. Nedum, what's been your assessment of City's season so far?
Obviously, it's not been as consistent as, say, the previous two seasons, but the fact is they're still in the mix and overall we're playing well. So I think as far as you look at it now, you just think to yourself, a big, strong run now can make a huge difference. And it wouldn't surprise me if in the next month or so, we're just right there fighting for the title yet again.
It's what we love to hear. And looking at this next month and the months to follow, Joleon, do you feel quite hopeful for City's chances in all competitions that we're still in?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you always believe City are going to win. Again, we haven't seen them play as well as dominant as the previous seasons, but I think the balance is a little bit better defensively. And it's proven in the clean sheets. And going forward now, when Liverpool are dropping points and you're not playing, it adds confidence. Been in a similar situation. And again, I'll go back to the famous, obviously, title win that we had.
Of course.
And when we went on the way to the Wolves game and we seen that United had dropped points to Everton at home, the confidence he gave us on the coach, you know what I mean? So you can just relate to the occasion, even when you're not playing in the game.
I wanted to ask you about this because we had the game against Everton, of course, has been postponed, and we were coming into that a game of 10 games unbeaten. Do you think that would that have been affected the players? Would they have had a positive effect going, we get a few days rest, or negative going, I'd rather have kept on playing?
I think it kind of depends on your age and stuff like that. So with Joleon being a bit older, I'm sure he's going to say they're taking a break, but I think for players, you love playing the game. So it'd be disappointing to have not played. But then also, I think there would have been probably little bits of doubt, because if one or two players caught the virus in that time,
you're probably worried, am I going to be next up? You know what I mean? And stuff like that, to then be out of the game for 10 days and worried about your health and so on isn't ideal. So I think they would have preferred to have been playing the games and without the case and so on, but it's 2020 for you, essentially.
I think it wouldn't have helped to being called off so late in the day. I think if you're aware of it, that there's no game and it's a couple of days before, you can mentally switch off and kind of use that focus elsewhere. But when you're prepared for the game physically and mentally and literally en route to the game, you kind of like, I wish it was happening now. You want it to happen and you want it to go ahead. But again, I'm sure they're prepared now physically, or better prepared for this game.
And Joleon, you just said it there, but I always wondered, of course, we've got these 2 games in hand against the Liverpool who are at the top. That could be a 6-point gap at some point. Now, I'd look at that and go, as a player, I'd be going, I want to see myself up there. But for the players, they probably won't be worried about that too much. Will they be actually happier that they've got 2 games in hand on the top teams now?
I think you'd always prefer to just have the games on the board, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think having games in hand means that you're always going to be part of the conversation, even if you're not right there at this moment in time. Liverpool can see United on the same amount of points as them, but they know that if City win their games in hand, they're only a point back, so you have to include them. And I think that sort of brings a lot of fear in opposition, because they know a team like City can win basically any game at any given time. So, I think I'd rather have the points on the board, but I do get what you're saying.
And for the team as well, then, Joe, actually they can just sit comfortably and try and focus on, we'll just take each game as it comes and we'll get back up there.
Yeah, well, I think they've been doing that anyway. They haven't been getting carried away with the negativity or the positivity. So it's kind of what Nedum said. You'd rather have the points, but you just take one game as it comes, and then obviously go ahead and hopefully when you've caught up on the games, you're where you expect to be, and that is what a point behind.
Well, let's take a look at our first team lineup of the new year as chosen by our coach Pep Guardiola, who hopefully we're going to hear from a little bit on We're Not Really Here. Our team to take on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge at 4:30 is as follows. So, of course, with Edison quarantine, we have Zach Stefan starting in net. We have a back 4 made up of Cancelo, Stones, Ruben Diaz and Zinchenko at left back. It looks like a middle 3 of Rodri, Gundogan and De Bruyne, and a forward 3 of Bernardo, Phil Foden and Raheem Sterling. Our bench is Scott Carson, Sergio Aguero, Benjamin Mendy, Fernandinho, Riyad Mahrez, Liam Delap, Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Mbete. So, lots to get into there, Joleon. We're going to, of course, begin with the keeper, of course. Edison is a name that we're so used to seeing all the time, but, of course, is quarantined. So, in steps Zach Stefan, who we've had a little kind of look at during the League Cup games. I know you're quite a fan.
Yeah, definitely. Like most goalkeepers from America, he's very athletic, very agile. So he'll play in a similar style in terms of coming for stuff and being high off his line and being able to cope with that. In possession, we'll see. Again, it probably helps. I know we've said it numerous times. It probably helps to be no fans away from home, especially at Stamford Bridge. Difficult place to go. So I'm sure the kind of style and philosophies, Pep's going to expect the same things. And it's down to the players now to trust him. He's obviously got the ability, otherwise he wouldn't be at the club. So I'm expecting him to perform well.
Looking at that forward 3 of Bernardo, Phil Foden and Sterling, of course we haven't got a designated striker there. Who could you see maybe occupying that central role out of the 3 of them, do you think, Nedum?
There'll probably be a lot of rotation, but essentially, I'd see Raheem Sterling playing that position. But one thing I think, which I saw when in the last game against Newcastle, when Torres was playing there, even though he's not a 9 as such, he played the role that was needed by the team on that day very well. And I think he was constantly stretching the team and stretching Newcastle. And I think whoever plays in the middle, whether it's Sterling, Foden or Silva, I think they'll be doing the same sort of thing again. Because at the end of the day, City, I think the success comes from people understanding the system and being a very, very good part of it. So like I say, I think it'll be Sterling because I think his style of play suits that more. Yeah. But the fact is he'll be playing just like a Man City number 9 would.
Is there, something in that, as fans, where sometimes you might watch a Torres in a game and go, well, you didn't score, feel like you didn't do much, but actually the work off the ball that maybe we don't see doesn't get the plaudits it deserves?
I'll answer this one, Jules, yeah. So I was at the game the other day, and I was very lucky to be in there, and I was doing some TV work or whatever, and I was like, proper footballing pervert looking at the system and thinking like this is incredible because everybody was in the right place most of the time. Torres was making runs in behind, but they were unselfish runs because he got the ball maybe 10% of the time when he was making those runs, but those runs kept back Newcastle's back 3. And I think that level of selflessness comes through understanding and buying into a system.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when sometimes if we watch a game on TV, we can judge people whether based on did they score or did they not score. You look at what they did, and all of a sudden you understand like why these are people who are being selected to play week in, week out, and why these are systems which continue to be played and why success comes from it. Because as I say, it was for like a nerdy football guy. It was.
His understanding that surprised me the most. To be fair, Torres, I've seen him obviously play there numerous times in the Champions League where he's got most of his goals, and that natural instinct to make runs, that doesn't seem like it's in everyone. Like, I don't think that's in Raheem. No. I don't think it's in Jesus. It's like Aguero. When I see him up there, he's thinking, I just need to get in, and I'll come back on side, and then I'll run in again, and it'll come one of the times, and then obviously you just got to be there to finish, and he definitely has the quality. So that is probably the thing that Nedum touched on there. Is probably the thing he's impressed me the most when he's come to the club. And
Joleon, I mean, I know you work close with a lot of young players, but to be doing it at 20, I mean, that really is, I guess, no small feat.
And again, that's what makes me feel it's a natural thing. It's probably not necessarily something that has been coached him since his time here. There's obviously elements of his game that he's developed, of course, but in regards to being able to do that and naturally make that run timelessly, timing it perfect and just continuously doing it. I think we've seen it against Sheffield United when it was just so effective.
Yeah.
And he just kept on making the run, and he was just like, okay, it's not coming. Let me get back on side. Okay, let me stay out of the play. And then again, it came to him on a couple of occasions, and he should have scored. But overall, that's something that is an instinctive. You can't necessarily teach that. And again, we've seen Jesus do it here, and we've seen at times when he looks frustrated when he's asked to play and not get involved. He's at his best when he's getting involved, dropping his short, then closing down the back line, where Torres just feels like, no, I just need to score a goal or just be occupied the defence in another way.
And those goals that we've seen from Torres actually kind of are indicative to his positioning, because a few of them tap-ins is where you'd usually see Aguero. Just wanted to go back to your point a little bit more, Nedum, because Pep Guardiola actually in his post-match interview after the Newcastle game said it was probably the most complete performance of the season so far, and everybody was in the right place and where they're meant to be. But what did he mean by that? Maybe not with Torres, but I'm talking the midfielders and defence, because I look at it and just go, yeah, there was a solid line of there. It looked solid at the back. Do you know what I mean? But he was he wanted to make the point of going, everyone played the role and everyone was where they were meant to be at every given time on the pitch.
Yeah, I think to give Joleon's friend some credit, I remember this is what it was like under Mancini, because we used to do team shape every single day. And the emphasis was, you stand here and you go here, you pass the ball here, you move here. And it seemed crazy at the time. But then when you went out onto the field to play in an actual game, you could receive the ball, and this person was here, that person was there, and that level of detail is actually massive, because then you like there's nothing. That level of organisation is almost impossible to play against, especially when you add significant talent to it, which is why that was the start for the club in terms of in finding success, and why led to this point now where we've won so many trophies. So with Pep, I was watching the game and I was seeing the three centre backs were doing what they were doing. Rodri was doing what he was doing, always available. But the people who weren't receiving the ball for the majority of the time, they were still in the right spots, which meant that Newcastle had to defend in an honest manner. Because, say, for example, you could talk about Torres, and as a false nine, maybe he dropped back off into midfield to try and just receive the ball, but he wasn't doing that. So that meant that the back three had to stay back. You look at Sterling, you look at Bernardo Silva, and they pinned back the two wing-backs, which meant that Cancelo could come inside and be able to receive the ball in space there. Because if Sterling just decides to stand inside and come short, then it's harder for Torres to receive the ball. But instead, everybody was they were in the right place, and they were being patient and trusting the ball would come there, because they were trying to occupy spaces which Newcastle didn't want to get into. So there was a lot more going on than meets the eye, and you could say there was a lot of sideways or whatever. But it was always, everything had a purpose.
Yeah.
And it was more than just the person on the ball who was making a difference to the game itself.
And so selfless from the other players in that knowing that, okay, I might just have to stand out here out on the right for the next 5 minutes, but that might then influence what happens over on the other side of the pitch.
Definitely, he's doing that. It's not might influence. It is influencing them, because like Nedum said, you're occupying one or two people because you're not likely to go man for man. Different today, maybe with Chelsea, they may feel they have the players to do that, but most of the teams in the Premier League won't want to isolate any of the City players 1v1 against theirs, so you're occupying two spaces, and it's a lot more work, and that's why we've seen a lot of goals come later on in games, because you can do it for 60, 70 minutes, but the fatigue element, physically and then mentally, the concentration, and all of a sudden someone switches off one time, because you might track 2 or 3 of the first runs, but then when it's 6 and 7 times, and it's going to come, and then the City lads are just waiting for the opportunity when you don't track they're not going to pass to him when you're tracking him, because you make the run and the ball doesn't come.
Yeah.
At the time when you don't track, now it's coming.
We were on the show the other day and actually spoke about the moments and the phrase that got coined by Andy Morrison, actually.
Andy Morrison.
The Andy Morrison.
Okay.
He calls it when he's coaching his team a dope moment. You're waiting for that dope moment for when they do switch off for that split second, and then that's when you go. Also, kind of then off that journey, is that why we're seeing, and Nedum to you both, a more consistent, kind of more well-rounded, solid performance, which then in turn is a tribute into clean sheets and also putting 2 goals, in the back of the net at the other end?
Yeah, and a slight tweak in the formation. I think we've got 2 holding. I think we're going to see that today with Rodri and Gundogan.
Mm-hmm.
Before we've seen the one pivot, and then it kind of allows the counter-attack to come, where I think the start of the season he set the stall out and saying, well, we're going to be harder to beat from counter-attacks, because that's 9 times out of 10, that's when we're going to concede most of our goals. No one's going to dominate position and then just pin us back and then all of a sudden create lots of opportunities. So I think they've nullified that, or Pep's nullified that with them 2 kind of sitting players, and it allows then the fullbacks to be higher, because for me, the fullbacks we have are probably more inclined to have a higher press than you would say Rodri or Gundogan. Yes, they may play in advanced roles, but in terms of their attributes and feeling and the recovery, be able to get back, I would suit the Cancelo, Walker, Zinchenko to do that and recover rather than I would in midfield.
I see. Okay, and the player you mentioned there, and I have to mention him because after his performance actually against Newcastle, Cancelo. I watched him over in Serie A and buzzed off him, and I thought that's some good business from Cheeky there to Danilo go one way. He comes the other. Didn't quite see it last season, but now with the games and the rhythm that he's found, Nedum, I mean, for me, he's arguably one of the best fullbacks in the Premier League right now, but also can play, like you were saying before, almost as that centre midfielder.
I think, so he's obviously a very good player, and he's playing now in the system which suits his style. And one thing which I think you were sort of alluding to, Joel, is in the fact that they're going to go with 2 6s today. When he plays with like an Ake or someone like that, then you go for 1 6 and they have 3 at the back and 1 holding. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when they get 2 more attacking fullbacks, go for 2 centre backs and 2 in front of it.
Right.
So the emphasis still remains on the sort of having 4 people who control counter attacks and things like this, but it's like in a slightly different structure.
Yes.
But with Cancelo being able to go higher, like one thing which really impressed me is because in the past I've seen it where like a fullback will come and play midfield, but against Newcastle, he wasn't just playing midfield, he was playing like an 8. He was on the other side of Newcastle's midfielders.
Yes.
And like a player going into there, like I know from my times playing fullback, I'll be honest, I don't want to be in there. But
you don't want to hear man on as a defender.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Man, you can't touch him.
No. Impossible.
Play the way you face it.
But for someone like him, who's obviously a very good attacking prospect, to be able to find those pockets or stand in those pockets and know the ball can come there, that really suits his game, and that's probably why we're seeing the best of him now. But then also to spread the love, he's only able to do that because whoever's playing out wide is occupying the fullback and really keeping him stretched. So even though you see one movement, it's never a completely independent one to another. So I think in that game there, the relationship that he had with Sterling was one whereby they were never on the same line, they were never on the same width, but it would be a case of the ball comes into here to him, and somebody can make that run there.
Yeah.
And the time they did it, you could say it was just a coincidence, but the fact is they did it 4 or 5 times in a game. So, it's something that they worked on, and he's
also
thriving.
The pace as well. They have so much pace down that side. You could slightly be out of position because you're going to react faster than the opposition, and you can recover quicker as well. So that helps. Obviously, you can tweak your position in regards to say, well, Nedum was a lot quicker than me and could obviously do that. But in terms of being in that role, and we're not occupying anyone of the opposition because they know I don't want the ball there. They don't want the ball there. But when it's someone like Cancelo and then you got Raheem there, you have to be dead on positionally, because 1, they want the ball, and 2, if you're not and you think you're in a good position, they'll still get it past you anyway.
Yeah, they're going to punish you. We, of course, have to mention it because I was really hoping to see, for a little New Year treat, Aguero starting. Is on the bench. But Joleon, I mean, a great player to bring on, but we would like to see him now starting. I think he feels like he's close to full fitness.
Yeah, he must be. Again, he was probably the only one, unless he was due to start, the only one that was happy with that the game called off against Everton, because it would have given him more time to prepare for this, and obviously as time goes on in training you get stronger and fitter. But again, I just can't put my finger on why there isn't a place for him in the team today. Again, if you're facing Sergio Aguero, if his name's on the team sheet in some capacity, you're going to be nervous when he comes on because, like we've talked about, Torres there, he thinks about goals in a good selfish way, which is what we've needed in recent weeks. So hopefully when he gets on, that's the case. And he's got nothing to prove. We all know that. But he's still determined to score goals at this level, and I'm sure that'll be the case if he gets on today.
And one final name on our starting 11, Phil Foden. Great for him to be starting in such a big game, Nedum.
Yeah, 100%. But it's not even a surprise to me anymore. You know, it doesn't even matter how big the game is. Like, of course, Phil Foden can play. Like, he doesn't. For me, I've not seen him let the side down. And this is a kid who's getting better and better and better. And to think how young he is, but to be mixing in with this team, which for the last couple of years has probably been one of the best in Premier League history, you do wonder what his ceiling is going to be and if he's ever really going to get to it. Because if he does, you know, he's going to be one of the greatest players this club's ever seen.
It really is. I mean, Joleon, I'm sure you know these whispers as well, but people say even at City now, we're still not even close to seeing the potential that I think people think he's going to get to.
No, because you can't, because he's not at his physical peak. He's not at his kind of experience peak as well. So there's going to be, 25, 26 when them things hit at the same time, and there could be no stopping him. Like literally no stopping him, because his love for the game, his love for the club, he's going to obviously get more experience, and sooner or later teams will have to adapt the way they face against him. Like we've seen teams try to do in the past against David Silva. That will be the case with Phil Foden, because he's able to do a multitude of things, and obviously he contributes so much in terms of goals.
So exciting for us City fans. Phil Foden there warming up at Stamford Bridge. Of course, we've got our 4:30 kickoff against Chelsea. One man in that starting 11 as well, who's just behind him there, is Ilkay Gundogan. Really finding some great rhythm in the last few games. He gave an interview this week to the club, and we can bring you some of those best bits now.
I think it's not easy for all of them. I'm quite close with Tony Rudiger, and I know that he's at the moment not centre back number one, and he knows obviously as well. But he's happy about the game time he's getting, and obviously when he gets it, he tries to do as good as possible. He tries to prove himself, tries to help the team, and then I think with Havertz and Werner, coming from a different league, coming from a different country into a new one. That is quite competitive and challenging as well. It's not always easy, especially when you're young as they are, and even more with all the Corona situation going on. You know, it's obviously quite difficult, and you need time to adapt. It's not something that happens in just one day. It takes time. I know it's from my personal experience as well. It's a different league. It's different players. Different kind of football, but I'm sure they will adapt and they will improve step by step. Just not on Sunday, but after that they will be allowed to. So I'm quite confident they will still be very happy over the next few years here in England, and can help Chelsea also to be successful.
Well, hopefully those players won't be doing too much when we take them on at Stamford Bridge. That was Gundogan there, who gave an interview earlier on this week. He really feels, Joleon, a player that has been very crucial to our great run of form, I think, for me. He seems to be dictating tempo a lot, and also popped up with some very crucial goals. Yeah, definitely. And like most players in that role, they tend to go understated. The more glamorous players, forward-thinking players, get all the plaudits. But he's someone that, as a centre-back, you'd want in there. He always makes himself available to receive the ball, which is key, especially in the system that we play in. And also, he doesn't shy away from doing the defensive duty. He knows his role in the team. I guess I don't think he would be frustrated with, say, likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling getting all the praise and stuff like that. He knows, and they would know how important he is to what we do as a team. And the kind of, that goes back to what you were saying before, actually, that you need everybody to play within their role. He's someone who does that expertly. He was Pep Guardiola's first signing, and also has that European pedigree. For Manchester City's ambitions, is he now one of the most important players in Pep Guardiola's team, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think instead of, say, solely being a 6 or whatever, he leans more towards an 8. You know, he's not quite 10, but he's a very important link between, say, the people at the back and the people who are in attack. You know, and something that we're alluding to again in terms of the system and so on as well, is that there's so much trust in the system that people know the ball will get to them. And when you pass it from a centre-back to someone like a Rodri, who can pass it to someone like a Gundogan, who then has the whole open field to look and play the pass, you know, you don't have to be a winger who comes to receive the ball from the centre-back because you know it's going to get there.
Yeah.
Because the quality of the players receiving the ball from further back, you know it's going to make its way towards you. And another thing, which is a far cry from, say, my early days at City, not so much for when you were there, Joel, because obviously you were part of the glorious days, but we used to have the ball at the back and you'd see a lot of numbers because people didn't want the ball, and it felt like, you know, we'll go along, we'll play for second balls and so on, and that suited the time just fine. But now, like, I'll never forget this. I was playing a pre-season game, I think it was at the stadium. David Silva was on our team, and someone was running, he was coming towards me asking for the ball, and he had someone on his back like a foot away from him. And I didn't play him the ball, I played it somewhere else. And he had a go at me. He says, "Why didn't you give me the ball?" I was like, "Because there's someone behind you." He says, "No, this is when I want the ball. This is when I want the ball." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is different."
that was similar to my debut at Crystal Palace. We played like, and I've give the ball to Robinho. Obviously, I'm like, yeah, excited and that. And then I wanted to showcase that I could play long as well, like, but not just like hoofy, like really put you in a goal. So Adebayor's like made this run, and I've like played this clean ball, clean strike, gone over the top. And he's looked at it and gone. He just turned around and went like that. I was like, okay, to feet. I'll play to feet.
Yeah, it's class.
Is that, I mean, because like you say, though, it felt like over time, was it around that, you know, that 10, 12, 13 years ago that actually the style of football in the Premier League began to change?
Overall, maybe, yeah, because from those times you still had like Arsenals and so on, and you had certain Chelsea teams who were like, it was just different. Liverpool were always playing like quite good football.
Yeah.
But the mentality whereby it was more about controlling the game for long periods of time, like when you're looking for 60-70% possession, one or two teams start to bring it in more than you've got more now who have the potential to do so.
Yeah.
But to do that though, first you need a good manager who believes in it 100%, because I've played with some managers who say, "Oh, let's keep the ball," and then you make a few passes around the back and they're like,
go long.
Why you got it all back there?
Send it. But then, as I say, now you have more managers who believe in the system and will say, persist. This is how I want you to play.
Even when mistakes are being made, you still see the same setup, and that is key to doing it. Is because when you make a mistake, you're not thinking, "I'm out of the team next week."
Yeah,
I'm out of the team. Well, you know, no, I've asked him to do that, and then we'll coach him how to do it right next time. And like Nedum said, the transition has been made over the last 10 years, but now you're seeing probably teams that shouldn't be doing it do it more often.
You did. Sorry to I need to just jump in to tell a story, because I had a flashback. So you mentioned Adebayor not making a running behind. Yeah, there was one game here. I think it might have been 2010, perhaps. I ended up scoring, but I had
a long time ago.
That one there,
I just one of my goals. I didn't get as many as you, George. I didn't get as many as you, but I have scored in the stadium. So there was one time I tried to play it to Adebayor, but it was like 5 yards to the right of him, and he was just looking at me. So I ran onto it myself, played myself in. I think
you have that pace, you could do that.
It was nuts. It was not like, it was like I knew I was going to play a bad pass or something, but he just looked, he just rejected it. So I just had to keep running. Played myself in, left foot, bottom corner, edge of the box.
That's what you do. Do you know what I mean? Joleon, taking any notes?
No. I passed to the people in our shirts. People didn't say, I didn't pass to myself.
I wanted to say off your story about David Silva. So surprising to him have a go at someone.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd hear that.
Only with the ball. Yeah. He did that to me as well. He like I've said before, he was probably the person that I passed to the most, because he was just always available, especially the first 18 months. He used to come off the line and literally say that, "I'll give it to me the ball." And as long as you give it him in the right way, he would then be able to manipulate it. And then all of a sudden, no one's near him, because they know that's a man down. If you're near him and he turns you, you're a man down. Yeah. So, you know what, let's just stay in that position.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Feels like quite a nice moment, actually, speaking of 10 years ago. Massive fixture for us when we took on Chelsea, ended up winning 4-2. It was a brace from Craig Bellamy and Carlos Tevez. I think they were the champions at that time. And that felt like a shift. I know, Nedum, I think you were on the bench for that game.
Yes,
you were there,
right,
though. Yeah. I mean, for us City fans, it was massive to go to Stamford Bridge. Of course, we're coming on the back of that kind of amazing run of, titles and being in the Champions League. It was a big win for us. And did it feel it for the players as well?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think we'd had a bit of a false start. I think maybe 2 years previous under Sven, because we won maybe the first 5-6 games of the season. Then we're going down to Stamford Bridge, and people were saying, "This is going to be City's year now." lost like 6-0. You know what I mean? So that was 2 years prior. But now here's a big game. Chelsea, I think, were top of the league at the time. We were talking to City like, this is going to be our year. We've got a big chance at this. It's top four. You see what we can achieve and so on. And you look, when you're going out in the field with people like Carlos Tevez, it's far cry from, say, some of the people who we had in the past. These are winners. These are some of the best footballers in the world. And you have a different level of confidence. So to be able to go toe-to-toe with them in such a big emotional game as well, and to have people like Bellamy as well, it made, it was huge. It was a big thing on the day because you knew everybody in the league, everyone in the UK was watching for multiple reasons, and to come away with a win on that occasion on that turf there was it was a huge moment in that season.
I mean, it was such a massive game. I mean, we don't have to dwell on it, but of course we're all aware we had Wayne Bridge there playing at left back, and we know the fashion in which he left Chelsea. So I guess that will have been all part of it, and the players play for that a little bit, I think. Totally,
that was the core motivation. There wasn't many times when you're looking at the 3 points to get you through a game, but that was an occasion where we were like, no, this is solely for that reason. Whatever had gone on with Wayne and that situation there, we were just like, no, this is kind of for you. And we all went into that game highly motivated to beat Chelsea. And it was obviously, if you're looking at the stats, it wasn't as convincing as a 4-1.
No,
but again, we were believed that we could beat them. And player for player, as we're looking through, Chelsea didn't obviously were a bit naive in regards to what they thought we were capable of. If you can compare it now, we probably had a style of similar to like Spurs, like just sit a little bit deeper. But then we had the likes of Carlos Tevez that is so reliable in possession, and then you have Bellamy on the wing and Sean Wright-Phillips that you don't catch once they get ahead of you.
Yeah, they could tear any team apart. Carlos Tevez, I think, is someone we don't speak about enough on the show. But what are your memories of Carlos Tevez?
He was one of the best. Like, I'll hold my hands up and say, from when it was the talk about him or Sergio early doors, I was all in on the Tevez wagon.
Really?
All in I was. Like, obviously, Sergio is Sergio Aguero. Like, arguably now the greatest striker that's played for Man City. One of the top 3 in Premier League history.
Yeah.
But I was all over Tevez. He was different. Carlos was different.
And it's different because I don't think Sergio could have done what Carlos did at that stage. When we had that style, Carlos was carrying us. Like, literally, we were just new defend because Carlos would do something and create something out of nothing.
Wow.
And he did it for like a year and a half kind of thing. He was just doing it on his own. I remember one game when he literally closed down the whole back five. Like, it was the fullback, and then he went to the keeper, and then it would go across to the other fullback, and you could hear the crowd going, ooh, and then Carlos, that would like gear up Carlos, and we just knew to be in position because it's going to come. They're going to have to go long at some stage, and Carlos literally just forced the pass for them to go longer than we could collect possession.
Unbelievable. I only know as well because you said probably wasn't the best trainer at times. So you're walking, where's he getting?
But that was the reason why. That was the reason why he could do that, because he knew he had it in him. He just didn't want to waste it in training. And when you say he wasn't the best trainer, he still had the same amount of quality. There wasn't never a question of his quality and his finishing and all that stuff. It was just the effort he put into games. He didn't match it in training, which was okay.
But when you do it in games, it's all right. We can actually hear his and Bellamy's post-match interview after that game, and Bellamy was being a little bit cheeky, it's safe to say.
How much of today were Manchester City galvanised by Wayne Bridge?
You speak. He speaks better English than me.
Did it? Be honest, Craig. Going into the game, did it galvanise you at all as a group?
I think you guys make a lot more of it. You know, I know what JT's like, and nothing surprises me about him. So I'm not going to comment on that guy. I think everyone in football knows what the guy's like. So, that's off the field. But on it, he's an outstanding player. He's a great captain for Chelsea. So, it's always going to be difficult when you play him and his team. But today was, a big result for us. Big result because, we've come away from it the last month. We haven't been playing particularly well. I think you could see signs of that first half. But when we got going, the counter-attack really, with Carlos up there, especially on his own, which was difficult first half. But I thought we got a little bit closer to him second half. And, we do have players who can score goals.
Carlos, you always score against Chelsea. Why is that?
I like Chelsea. I like play for big club, but everything. I go to Chelsea. Sorry, Chelsea.
I can see by the smile.
Never apologise, Carlos Tevez. It was a changing of, kind of, I think, where the football trophy might end up in the country at the time. Did you know at that point, Nedum, looking that there were probably good things on the horizon?
Yeah, 100%. But it's always easy looking back now and saying that's how you felt, because let me be very, very clear, I'm a Man City fan that was born in the 80s, so some of the stuff you've seen is catastrophic. So when you think that there's a new dawn coming, there's always something in the back of your mind that's like, nah, it's probably not, but you're heading in the right direction, and it definitely did feel like that. It was progress. You're winning those big games, and you're being favoured in more games than not. And you have people, as I say, like Carlos, and when people are Joleon coming in, like Gareth Barry's coming in. These are people who are there to just like survive and just be in mid-table. These are people who are driven by winning.
Yeah.
And the more of those you have in a dressing room, and then the unity as well, like that for that game there. We're dancing around it, but people are playing for Wayne Bridge, who was a teammate, but he's somebody who'd barely been at the club 2 years or whatever. But you had that level of unity, and that's something which over the last 10 years has made a huge difference. Because as well as the talent that you have, people want to go out there, represent the club, and represent each other. And that there at that time, adding the talent to that mentality. Success was going to come,
And that was laying down the foundations in which then, Joleon, you probably can kind of vouch for, and I feel as a fan that watching that's what this Manchester City team, especially over all decades, but this last decade on trophies, have had all those things. A philosophy we've stuck to, whichever that may be. A team that's cohesive and playing for each other and give it all on the pitch.
Yeah, and again, I think it's a combination of all them things, but when it was assembled, I've spoken on this numerous times, the assumption why we came together was only for money. We wasn't to be successful, and that helped. And then there's moments within that time frame of the Wayne Bridge situation, and that kind of we galvanised the squad and the camaraderie, where I think Bella's touched on it then. We probably wasn't playing as great then, but something like that resparks the focus, and all of a sudden now we're a unit again, and we know what we're here for. And then there was a similar thing with Colo when he's suspended, and we all kind of get around him around that era. So there's moments throughout that tenure that you kind of look at and think they were the bits, and then obviously off the back of that you start to win trophies and you start to recruit better players with a different mentality, like a Carlos Tevez, like a Yaya Toure, David Silva's, like Nedum's been polite and talking on me, and say Gareth Barry, that were coming from established Premier League teams, but they were coming from world winning teams, Champions League winning teams, and David Silva was a European winner and a World Cup winner. So that mentality is totally different. And again, we just knew we had to do our job in the team, and that was to be available for me, for instance, and also being consistent because we could trust them.
Fascinating stuff. And I have to ask it, Nedum, because when I knew this was the lineup, that QPR game, I mean, I've asked you about it, Joleon, but game. I mean, for you, Nedum, that must have been what was your experience like of that day? Because of course you were playing.
How long have I got here?
Yeah, you could take your time. Listen, I'm in control of the show. You take as long as you want.
Let me be very, very clear here, because I ended up playing 200 odd games QPR or whatever, but I'm a Manchester boy, Man City fan.
I was gutted you went, to be honest, Nedum.
Yeah, I was too. But anyway, so I left January, like the end of January. That season at City won the league was great, but obviously you wouldn't have won it without that game which I played in against Wigan, where Mancini put me on for 5 minutes to seal the deal. That was the biggest moment. That was literally 2-3 days before that. That was the biggest moment. You know what I mean? It's the only game he gave me.
That's the moment.
That was the big one.
Yeah, that was the only league game he gave me. But whatever. Yeah, fine. So I went over, and that first few months at QPR was difficult because firstly I was in London as a northerner. Going down south was different by then.
Warmer down there, isn't it?
Yeah. But and it was a different type of club. The club itself was having a mix of people who'd come from like Championship League One and mixing with people who were established Premier League players from all around the country and so on. And there was no dressing room cohesion in the same way that there was at City. Different personalities. Add into that the fact you're losing every single week, pretty much. I don't know most of these people. You're trying to adapt. It's my first time properly leaving City. So everything's new, from the kit man to the players to the people in the canteen to whatever. And that's normal. That's a normal part of whatever.
How old are you then, Nedum, as well?
25, I think. Yeah. But you add to that the fact that now you're in a situation where results are the only important thing and you have to try and get them. But you're not favoured to get any time. But anyway, we ended up going on a good run. We beat Arsenal, beat Spurs, beat whoever at home, and we beat Stoke in the second to last game of the season, which meant that we will come into the Etihad. knowing that if we won, we'd stay up, but we were outside of the bottom three going into the last game.
I can't remember the other game because if they
Bolton
Stoke. So again, like I have one or two friends on that QPR team, but I wasn't that close with anybody at that point. We've gone through seen some murders. I remember it was 2 weeks in, we were training at the stadium. I'm seeing headbutts, throat punches, everything's going on. I'm like, this is nuts.
That happened there, though.
But I was like, this is nuts. Because this is
get me back on the Virgin Pennsylvania.
It's that feeling of, like, I went on loan to Sunderland the year before, but once you step out, like, you're out. Doesn't matter if you've had the 15-year history there. Like, there's no coming back.
Yeah.
Like, this is you. This is what it has to be. And when I was leaving, I did see the last game of the season was against City, but I thought, it'll be all right. You'll be all right. But anyway, we beat Stoke the week before, and now I'm thinking scenarios in my head. Right, so if we win, they don't win the league, okay. So if they win, they could send me down to the Championship in Manchester, in my old stadium, and then I'll never be seen again. And I'm like... I'm sweating. That's the most nervous I've been. The second most nervous I've been in my career. The only other time was when I was 18 and I made my second Premier League start, and it was at Highbury against primetime Arsenal. Oof. Remember just dripping in sweat. Dripping in sweat walking to the stadium. But we drew that game anyway. But that. But yeah, so I'm nervous. I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going on? Then the day of the game, we stayed in a hotel in Manchester, which I stayed at a million times. Day of the game, wake up, walking around the streets to Deansgate. All my teammates say, Manchester this. I'm like, yeah, I know this place. I know that place. This is home.
Yeah.
But I'm away. I'm like, this is weird. Get to this church, right, gone to the stadium, arrive at the stadium. Oh, hi this person, hi that person, hi this person, hi that person. Because I've just spent the last 15 years knowing every single person in the thing. But again, I'm away. Come down the stairs. I'm just about to check a left. I'm like, oh no, I'm going right. So I'm doing all this. And then as we go out to do the warm-up, because I see a few people, I say hello and that. Then we do the warm-up, and then the gravity of the situation kicks in. You look at City, all the people who are my friends, who were my teammates, their business time, because they know if they win the league.
Yeah.
So there's a different look in their eyes. And I saw what was going on for the first 6-7 months of that season, how driven they were to find success. And my team's like, we're focused. Come on, guys, we can do this. In our baggy, horrible, flipping, disgusting lotto kit, all this stuff. We're looking at shambles, complete shambles, but it's like business.
That was Latto's last season in football.
Yeah. It was nuts. So then the game kicks off. City get into the floor. There's popping, like whatever. That's to be expected.
Yeah.
Like I've played, because I wasn't really playing for the first team, I've been a mannequin for that start level plenty of times. So I'm comfortable with it. It's just going to be a bit longer than usual. People popping,
people watching this time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a normal training day for me in that year. But
were you slightly watching Joleon going, yeah, I'd do better than that?
Yeah, it's not like him.
I'll tell you what's mad. Because we did the game for Sky, and it was horrible because I don't like watching it back. And we looked at the stats at half time. 80% possession.
Yeah.
That was. I'm like...
For who?
Well, it weren't for them. Yeah, for us, we had 80% possession. I'm thinking, I don't even remember people talking about that.
Yeah,
literally.
We didn't have to have possession. We just had to try and hope for a result from the game. Yeah. And then you're doing your thing, and then it was semi-comfortable. Like, you're having a few chances, but not like massive chances because we've got bodies around. Then Zaba scores.
Yeah.
Places going nuts. I'm like getting a bit twitchy. And then worse still then, the fans, I remember it's on that far side, it's in the East Stand, they started singing for Martin Petrov, who was playing for Bolton, who were winning in that game, and they were singing for him because he knew now we were going down. And I'm on the field, like, hold on a second. I'm one of you. I'm one of you. Why are you saying this? So it's like, we're losing 1-0 at half-time, going to the dressing room, and it's like, okay, we need Bolton to win or whatever, we need to do something now. We have to step up, we have to score, we have to win, we have to do this. Like, yeah, come on, boys. And like, if you want to see what a room of crazy people looks like, it's people being the third worst team in the Premier League at that moment, saying that you're going to get a result against City when you're 1-0 down. Like, come on, boys, we've got this. We've had 20%. We've got this. Let's go. This is our big opportunity. And it's like just the human nature within you is thinking like, all right, yeah, sure, but we're going out anyway. It's not like we could just open up, but somehow we're now leading 2-1. And I remember the toughest time in my career was trying to figure out how to celebrate the first and the second goal that we scored. First one went in, I was like, just a little fist pump, like, come on. Second one went in, and I was like, it's a slightly bigger fist pump, and I saw Roberto looking at me as well. Like, and now we're 2-0. Roberto was fuming.
What he's saying.
He was fuming. The stuff he was saying should never be heard again.
Yeah.
But he's fuming, but then City turned into a bit of a shambles for a little spell. And I'm thinking, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. And then, lo and behold, Edin scores. Just happened to be my man. Legs weren't. I tried to jump. Legs just didn't. Yeah. Like I was just stuck in the ground. He scores. I'm like, okay. So it's 2-2. It's a bit twitchy. I'm a bit nervous here. But things are okay. Things are okay. Things are okay. And then this is me again, being completely honest. I think I told Joleon this. The lead up to Sergio's goal came from a throw-in for QPR in the attacking half on the right-hand side, to which I was the person who took the throw-in. And because the game was at the Etihad, I didn't walk to the ball. I had a little canter, just a little one, yeah? Like, not a sprint, just a little one to be respectful, yeah? Said to J-Boy, go down the line, I'll throw it to you. I threw it down the line, he didn't go there. So you get the ball, and now you're coming forward. Now I'm running back in.
You threw it to me?
Yeah. So,
I ended it back.
So I'm running back like, okay, right. Because as a defender, you know when something's going to be your fault. Like, it might not be a direct thing that leads to a goal, but you know you're the last person to receive the ball. So I'm running back like, okay, come on. All right, come on. We got this. We got this. The play's developing. Oh, it's getting forward quite quick now. Right, play's developing. Don't score. And then someone scored. And then look around, and we're all like, oh, we're going down. It's got like 5-6 players on the floor. Like, we're crushed. And I'm thinking, I've done this. I did this. I relegated myself on my own home turf.
That's exactly how I was thinking when we conceded the second goal. When we conceded one and I played a part in that, I'm thinking, nah, we'll score. We've got Tevez and all them, like, it's not a problem. Then when we go 2-1 down, it's like, oh, no. We've got to score too.
It's like, this is on me. But then I look up and I see our bench celebrating. I see the QPR fans in the other section celebrating. See everyone in the stadium celebrating. And then that was one of the highlights of my career, because then I realised it's the last game of the season. I've watched City win the league. My team stayed up. I'm in Manchester. The sun's out, and I can get home in 20 minutes.
Oh,
the sun's out.
I tell you what, that is Nedum. That is the most amazing story.
But had you contemplated that finale with both of you staying up and City in the league?
Nope. Didn't even cross my mind at all. Didn't cross my mind, and that was the one thing. That's the most blessed I've been on a football field.
The most intelligent person I know, and he didn't cross his mind.
Wasn't even a scenario. Wasn't an option.
I mean, the way that he played, that's of course it's not going to be, is it? Really?
Yeah, but
it's so far.
People like that deserve. People like it deserve that.
I'll be honest. Like, this sounds nuts to you, but I didn't even know who scored the winning goal for City for 5-6 days afterwards, because the stress of the situation. I just thought, I've relegated us. I didn't hear who got shouted out or anything. I was just like, just nearly in tears.
Yeah. I didn't know Edin's goal was that late for about 7 years.
Really?
I'd never watched the game. I didn't know Edin was. I thought it was like 84. I didn't know it was like 92. And then it was like.
It was that late. I remember turning to my dad going, I wish he hadn't scored that. Why would you rub salt in the wound? You know what I mean? Go on, you're not going to lose 2-1. You're going to draw 2-2. You're joking me. Thankfully he did. That is Nedum nowhere. Was there even a bit of you though, like in the game? Does the City fan come out, or are you totally kind of football?
The City fan was done just because I didn't have any desire to play in the Championship at all. Like when I left City, it was to stay in the Premier League. Little did I know I was going to have another 4 years there after that point. But yeah, there was none of that, like, try and give City a leg up or whatever, because it's work. Like, I'm being trusted by my teammates to go out on the field and try and win with them. And that's something that I was always consistent with, even if you're playing against the team you support. The fact of the matter is, this is your job, so you have to do it properly.
Of course. Nedum, amazing stuff. We're going to take a slight pause from proceedings just while I kind of come down from that story on Friday night. I know we've got 8 minutes, so we'll get predictions in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about this special thing that our friends Cadbury's have been doing. Now, they gave 3 lucky City fans the chance to be video Skyped, Zoomed, whichever one you want to call it, by our club captain, Fernandinho. Now, to get nominated for this, you had to have done something special. Nominate by your friends and family. 3 lucky people were chosen. We can begin by this young lad called Adam, who had gone through some really difficult heart surgery, thought he was Skyping with his doctor. Fernandinho then jumped on the call. Check this out.
Who's that?
Hello, Adam.
Hello.
Think if you check your door, there is a delivery for you, huh?
It's a delivery.
What is it?
Oh, so. Wow. I don't have to put it on my Christmas list anymore. Thank you. Bye. I don't know, but it was Fernandinho.
Beautiful stuff there, Adam. Of course, we wish you all a very happy new year. Really thoroughly deserved. Beautiful stuff. Okay, next up, we're going to head over to a lad called Sean. Now, he found himself over in Canada during this last year because he was caring for both of his parents, couldn't come home. So this is what happened when Paul was nominated by his best friend Jason to be Skyped by Fernandinho. And I can tell you as well, they actually stayed on for a really long time. They had a really great, I think quite emotional chat. But there's some best bits now.
Hi,
Merry
Paul.
Christmas, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas for you too.
I'm gonna sign you a t-shirt, they're gonna send to you, you're gonna put in the wall.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks very much, mate.
He gets most of them wrong, but Fernandinho, you can't really go wrong with that one, can you?
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, football is marvelous, that's why we love football.
It will be my pleasure to meet you here, okay? Personally.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
Beautiful stuff. Of course, all the love to both your parents and thoroughly deserved as well there, of course, nominated by your friend Jason. And finally, we have got a thoroughly deserving award to Kate, who is an NHS worker. She's had a really difficult, hard year, really going out of her way to help those most vulnerable during the last year. So there couldn't be anyone more deserving than being videoed by Fernandinho than you, Kate.
Hello!
Hey, Kate. How are you doing? It's marvelous weather in Manchester, huh?
Working a lot, huh? I heard you work for NHS.
Yeah. Busy.
Busy, yeah?
Under your desk, there is a bag for you.
This is my favourite.
Okay. Look, can you see it?
Thank you. Have a lovely Christmas and a Happy New Year. All right?
See you later. Thanks a lot.
Kate, massive thank you for your incredible, selfless, vital work throughout the year, and we wish you all the best for 2021. And thank you to Cadbury's for making those special moments for our City fans. We really do appreciate it. Of course, we've got our Supporters Club plaque to give out as well. It's been non-stop this show, but I can tell you the winner this week is going to our Supporters Club over in Wilmslow, not too far from me. So I might even see if I can pop by for a little pipe when we're allowed, and I'll bring you the plaque myself. That's that, Joleon?
No, it's tier 3, mate.
Well, I said when things thank you, Nedum.
No, I've got you.
Listen.
I've got you.
Listen.
You didn't even know you said
Thank you. Now I don't know what Vincent Kompany was on about there when he's screaming at you. Open your ears. Gents, this show is absolutely flown. We kick off in just under 5 minutes, of course, coming up against Chelsea. We've been bringing you that team on the bottom there throughout the show. We had a little look, didn't we, at the Chelsea team where Ziyech is back. We've got Pulisic as well, Werner up there to be thinking about. Predictions. Nedum, I'll come to you second, seeing as you're our guest.
Be consistent,
Go to Joleon. What are you thinking for our game against Chelsea?
Again, Ziyech being in the team is a big plus for them. He can create chances out of nothing. So I'm going to be a bit more sensible today. 2-2. I want to go for 2-2.
Okay, goals but a draw. What about for you, Nedum?
This guy's a disgrace. I was leaning towards a draw, but because Joleon's so negative or whatever, I'm going to have to try and bring some positivity to the airwaves.
That tone sounds very positive.
I'm going to say it's going to be 3-2 to City.
Love that, Nedum. That's what we're going to lean towards. But
what are you going to go with? You got it right last time.
I did go. I'll go 3-1 City.
Okay.
I feel quietly confident for some reason. Yeah, 3-1 possibly. Now I probably might fall on my sword, but we will find out at full time.
Yeah, yes we will.
Come join us at half time, and then at full time, Joleon and Nedum will be with me to get into the game. Go get yourself a cup of tea. Enjoy our first game of 2021. Alistair Mann has got your commentary on City Plus. Enjoy the game. See you at half time.